What is good, you guys? This is Steven with All Talk On, and today we are going to go back to our roots. We're going to dig deep and kind of get back to really what started the channel off in the first place. If you guys haven't noticed, we hit 300 subscribers, or over 300 by a little bit, but that's more than honestly I was looking for. And I know 300 doesn't sound like a lot to all those people with tons of subscribers, but to me it did mean a great deal to know that there was at least 300 people that were willing to keep updates on what I was going through, on my progress of the PC realm, and learning all that I can, as well as helping people out. So let's go ahead and hop right into that. So up first, I'll probably just tell you we're doing a $350 build. So I did go over $1.81, I believe. So this build is, as you can guess it, it's going to be featuring the Intel Pentium G3258. So this is the dual core CPU. Everyone knows about it. I've personally owned, I think 4 of them now. In fact, there's a few boxes for them behind me. And I have yet to get one that wasn't able to easily hit 4.5 gigahertz. In fact, a few of them were able to hit 4.8. And on the stock cooler, I was able to hold 4.6 no problem on 2 of them. So this is a great CPU. Even if you just leave it at its stock speeds at 3.2 gigahertz, it will still run pretty much any game it'll run. Actually, it won't have a problem running any games. But of course, with higher settings, higher detail settings for games, for instance, like Grand Theft Auto, as well as The Witcher, definitely can show that it does have its limits. But this is an unlocked CPU, and not needing a Z branded motherboard in order to get that overclocked potential. So even running it at 4.2 gigahertz or 4 gigahertz on the stock cooler is more than enough. Another thing I've also been playing around with is a Dolphin emulator, which I have found to be extremely fun. In fact, I've been playing a lot of Super Smash Bros. Brawl, as well as Budokai Tenkaichi 3 for the Wii, and DON Battle Stadium, which if you guys haven't heard of DON, I suggest you check it out because it is an awesome game. And because that is a dual-threaded application, it works really well with this CPU and is great for building, I guess you could say, your own Nintendo Wii. Up next on our list is the motherboard. So as you can guess it, once again, I picked the cheapest motherboard I could find, but I also made sure that it was one that could handle slightly higher overclocks at about 4.4 to 4.6 gigahertz, and that would be the MSI H81M P33 Micro ATX motherboard. Now this motherboard is very bare bones and doesn't have exactly everything that you'd want on a motherboard, but at the same time it has everything that you would need. There is no USB 3.0 header, which is kind of sad, and it also only supports 16 gigs of RAM. But when you're on a $350 budget, it seems that there's really not much you can do about this. Now, also, I want to mention the price on this can be a little bit edited, because I'm only searching prices from Newegg's, because I want to give you guys what I go through when I buy a computer, and 99% of the parts I'll end up ordering will be off of Newegg, and I'll bundle them all together and get like a 3-day shipping to make sure I get them quick. So I wanted to pick it solely from one site, but chances are, if these are the exact parts you want, you can just Google them. If you can't get access to Newegg delivering to your country, then you can just Google the parts, and I'm pretty sure you can find a retail store that'll sell you these parts no problem. So once again, this only supports memory up to 1600 megahertz. But the reason I always like going with the Pentium G on the LGA 1150 socket is because it is interchangeable with the Core i3, i5, and i7s. This motherboard will support all of that, so future upgrade compatibility with this motherboard is very good. As far as overclocking any of those i5s and i7s you might get your hands on, it will not support that. Though I will say that I've messed around with a handful of 4440s, 4460s, and you really don't even necessarily need the overclocking when it comes to gaming, though it is a nice feature. As far as actually just getting the raw performance out of it, they're great as is. So next up we have the RAM. So I did go with what I always go with, which is just grabbing the cheapest set of RAM that I can find. I went for two 4 gig sticks. We have 8 gigs of G-Skill Ripjaw X memory. 1600 megahertz, which the Intel Pentium actually only supports 1333, though with a proper motherboard they can be overclocked to 1600. but that is mostly with Z branded motherboards, which we do not have. But running it at 1333, you will not really see any performance issues at all. In fact, the latencies are set, I believe, at 99928, I want to say 24. With a cast latency of 1. So chances are you can actually tighten the timings, which I have done on several of the Intel Pentium G systems I built. I'll end up going through, since it only runs at 1333 megahertz, I'll end up dropping the timings to like 88, 820, 24. I'll keep the 24. But usually I drop, tighten the timings just a little bit. Not necessarily something you have to do, but just something I do just because I like to tweak settings. Though I can't say it would give you much of performance, but the best bet I would say for RAM is find 8 gigs of RAM from a reputable dealer and just pick them up. Honestly, it's not really going to make too big of a difference. Check your latencies. I mean, the tighter the latencies, the better, but because this is only going to run at 1333 megahertz, you can always set it to the default 99924, and more than likely, if it's not a crap set of RAM, it will run at that, no problem. So up next we have the hard drive. I just went for something cheap and really low because I didn't want to cut the performance of the PC. I'd rather cut it on hard drive space. So we went with a Seagate Barracuda 250 gig hard drive. Now while this is not a lot of space at all, in fact you'll probably blow through that pretty quickly, it's definitely something to get you started. Can save a few games, definitely probably about, Grand Theft Auto does take up a lot of space along with games like Titanfall. Even some of the Battlefield games definitely take a lot as well. And Call of Duty, I meant to say, actually. But it can hold, a handful of your favorite titles, no issues. And if you ever need to, just make a little more space to put, other games that you would rather have on there. As well as hard drives are relatively easy to upgrade and cheap as well for later down the future. So I thought that cutting this would be the best bet to make sure you get the best performance out of the other parts. Up next we have the Sapphire Radeon R7 360 2GB, so nitrous, Sapphire Nitro or whatever, their new series. So this is the new graphics cards line from AMD, and I picked it because it's cheap. It comes in at about $109, which is really good price range for this GPU. Though I will say that I was slightly disappointed with AMD's performance. Maybe I'll make a video and talk about AMD versus Nvidia, mostly the 300 series versus the 900. Not like I'm really being biased or nothing, I don't think I agree with what they did with the R9 270X, turning it into an R7 370, which is kind of cutting it out of the picture, and then rebranding a 285 and calling it the 380 when the 280X was better. I don't know if I necessarily agree with all of that, so I might have to do something with that a little bit later, though they do have aggressive pricing, which is why I chose it, as well as support with DirectX 12. Now, if you are planning to run Windows 10. So I've also been doing a little bit of Linux, so I won't include the OS in this because there are free versions and other ways to get your hands on operating systems, as well as you can actually even pick up operating system key codes for as low as $25 if you know where to look. So up next we have the DIY Solo T1 BK ATX mid tower. So this is literally just one of the cheapest computer cases I could find at Newegg, and it runs for $28.89, and it's going to be exactly what you would expect for $30. It's not going to be anything more. It might be half decent because it is DIY, and I've found with them that the last 3 budget cases I picked up from them have all been well worth the $30 to $40 range. So I have faith in this case as well, but it'll have enough space for you to hold all your parts and get everything in there, and overall just get the job done. Once again, something I don't mind cutting a little bit of money off of to save, just to hit that $350 budget. So last but not least, we have an EVGA 400 watt ATX power supply. Now you guys know I love EVGA. In fact, I have about a box, 7, 8 boxes behind me, which I have purchased, and I have yet to get a bad one. So 8 out of 8 is pretty good. Now I can't say you'll never ever get a bad power supply. Chances are I'll end up running into it myself. I've already had several sticks of RAM come in bad and had to instantly RMA them. Stuff happens. But these power supplies come in extremely cheap, anywhere from $25 to $40. I can find it at Newegg for $29.99 right now, and they're just really stable, really good power supplies that I put in people's systems that I've been building for other people, and I have no problem handing it to them and saying, you got a good computer. I don't have to worry about the power supply failing. Even their lower model ones, like their 500 watt 80 plus and their 430 and 400 watt, not even 80 plus certified, they're just 400 watt power supply. Another brand I can also recommend is a Lepa 350 watt. Now once again, that's a very iffy brand, but the 3 power supplies I've bought from them have been really good, and the 350 watt was exceptionally well, being able to handle an i3 and a 270X on it without an issue, though I wouldn't recommend necessarily cutting it that close. But this power supply is just enough to get the job done, and with a little bit of room for some future expandability, not too much, because I am trying to make a budget here. So anyways, you guys, that's pretty much all the parts that I got for you guys. As far as operating system goes, you can choose from any of the distributions of Linux, or you can use the operating system for maybe a older computer or a laptop. As well as if you have any extra copies of Windows 7 or 8.1 laying around, you can upgrade it to Windows 10 for free. As well as there are places on the internet, if you look around, even eBay has operating system key codes for sale that you can pick up for relatively cheap. The option is yours, and I let you guys decide that, and that's why I don't include it in the price. So our total for this build was $351.81 including shipping. So we had about $11 in shipping, so that's a pretty good deal, you gotta admit. And this PC, as far as performance goes, it does have a 2GB graphics card, which will allow it to handle some decent textures and decent games, and it is one of the R7 360s, which we know from the last generation were pretty good, and I think this is a rebrand of the 265, I believe, which was a little bit better than the 260. So once again, it's a good beginner GPU, around on par with the 750 Ti. Once again, it'll get the job done for how cheap it is. Anyways, you guys, that's my little budget build for you guys. Yay, we did a budget build. I'll probably include some more, but I actually kind of really wanted to do something different. If you guys want, I want to do something with maybe Skylake, or around the $500 to $700, $800 range. If you guys want to go ahead and start posting your PC parts picker list, I want to see what you guys come up with as far as what you would spend your money on if you had the money to buy the PC. Because you know what, I know that a lot of my viewers aren't noobs when it comes to this stuff. And if you guys got a good build out there, I'll pick it and I'll put it on the channel for everyone to get a load of it. Because honestly, we should all help each other out here. Honestly, it's not a bad idea. So yeah, if you guys want to go ahead in your comments, just throw the link. You don't even have to say anything. Just put the link in the description to the parts picker list, and I'll go over the list and I'll pick one of them to feature on a build. Try to have a reasonable budget. You don't have to include any peripherals, no monitors. You don't have to include the OS. Literally just the bare minimum tower. That's basically what we're looking for. But don't be that guy that goes and posts a $3,000 build, but also don't be that guy that posts a pre-built Dell laptop, you know what I mean? So yeah, go ahead, get creative, let me see what you guys think. And I also want to give a shout out for all of you guys that have been watching. I don't know if you guys noticed, but a lot of times I do like to put a little bit of thank you for watching, or thanks for the support, and that is because I really do mean it. You guys kind of help me get through these videos and help me keep motivated into making them, though I have been AFK for a little bit. I haven't forgot about you guys. I don't know if you noticed, I still pop in the comments and like to respond to everybody, but that's really what keeps me going. Yeah, I appreciate the support. See you guys next time.